Our next guests have a lot of experience with space, aliens, iconic ships. One with the Razor Crest and an adorable green baby, and the other with the Nostromo and murderous xenomorphs. Seems about even. Let's make some noise for Jon Favreau and Sigourney Weaver. Oh my goodness. You know, Jon, it is always wonderful to see you, but Sigourney Weaver, welcome to Star Wars.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here, and I cannot believe how wonderful it is to see all of you guys. My goodness.
I know it's
I love you too.
Oh my goodness, I know it's day one and it's probably been a whirlwind, but how's celebration been so far?
I've never had such a warm welcome, enthusiastic. And what's cool is that everyone, you know, everyone has a different Star Wars and everything. It doesn't matter, I'm part of the family now. And so I'm thrilled to be here. I just thanked Jon backstage. I said, thanks, dude.
I'm telling you, man, you're pulling in some real great ones, huh? You're pulling in some absolutely brilliant people for the last few years on these projects.
Yep.
It's got to be wonderful.
It's great. The whole thing is casting, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera. It's a team sport, and at the end of the day, with Star Wars, you want to see humans undergoing challenges, coming together as families, going through mythic arcs, and you need wonderful actors to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, you need the backdrop of all the wonderful artists, storytellers that are doing visual effects, the set builders, the stop motion animators, the CG animators, the puppeteers. It's that recipe that makes something that's very unique but relatable over generations, and that's why I'm so lucky to be working in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. It really is. It's the kind of thing that really does only happen at Lucasfilm and really does only happen at Star Wars, and you've just jumped in, man, and you are part of the fabric.
And I won't leave.
Well, let's talk about this. You know, we're the Mandalorian and Grogu were obviously created for Disney Plus, but now they are jumping to the big screen. You know, what is the difference for you in writing these characters in something episodic versus creating something for the big screen?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities that this affords, right? In television, as a showrunner and as a writer, that's a big part of the process. Here, I only got to direct one episode of all the seasons that we've had. And Dave Filoni, my partner, who you just had out here, who's been just an incredible mentor and partner, he directed the pilot, and we together established a look. But in feature films, to get to be the director is a different process.
Yeah.
There, the storyteller is there on set every day. We also had the opportunity, which is different, to have a much larger span of time to tell the story in. Not on the screen, but in making it. we had to turn around within a year to get each season of The Mandalorian up. Here we have many years. And so that allows you to plan differently, to have more, build more sets, to explore things virtually beforehand, to have rehearsals, refine the costumes, build more practical opportunities than we had had before. And then, of course, filling the IMAX screen.
Yeah.
It's traditionally, Star Wars has been, a 2:3:5 aspect ratio from its earliest days. But then for certain sequences to be able to open up fully to a tall format, and how do you fill that with all the wonderful imagery that Star Wars provides?
It's good. I can just feel it. It's going to look wonderful. The team, I know you and the team have been working so hard on it, and it's just everybody's the best in the business.
Yeah,
over there.
I really get to work with, I don't know if John Knoll's been through here, but to work with a legend like him, and Doug Chang is here, and Hal Hickel, just names that I've learned so much from. And when you plug into the Lucasfilm and Star Wars world, you get the best people, and the people who know and love Star Wars so much.
Yeah.
And so that's our the challenge too with the big screen is, you may have 3 people who've seen every episode of the show, and they want to bring a friend along, or a younger brother or sister that hasn't seen it. For the movies, you want to make it something where we're inviting new people in, but we're also rewarding people who have been in since the beginning. And so the big screen, you want to tell a story that where it's a new adventure to invite people in, but again, as we always have, keep all of these fans in mind who've been here since the beginning.
Yes. We're excited to see it. I mean, you want to talk about some legendary sci-fi and some legendary titles. I mean, Sigourney, you have been, come on. We're talking Alien, we're talking Ghostbusters, Galaxy Quest, which is a personal favorite of mine. So you've been part of some of these big things before. What's sort of different, and what sort of drew you to Star Wars?
Well, I just really can't believe how lucky I got. I've admired the Star Wars films, and you always have such amazing actors in them. And I love being taken to another world, and where you can see things play out that are really important, but they are about another world, not your world. I think everyone needs that escape, and it's why I've consistently gone back to science fiction. I just feel it's about the future. It's about being human. It's an exploration of so many things. It's just endless. And I think science fiction fans really understand how important sci-fi is. So,
having that ability to explore things that everybody's going through, everybody's thinking about, everybody experiences without having to tie it to the day-to-day is a really lovely and valuable thing.
I think so. So when John, out of the blue, asked to Zoom with me, and then starts talking about Mandalorian and Grogu, and, I think we're both a little shy, so I didn't, I'm embarrassed to say I hadn't watched the show. If I'd known what it was, I would have watched it. But, he said, well, just start watching. And, of course, I just fell in love with it. How can you not? With both characters and the world and all the other supporting worlds. And it just was very inspiring and really cool. And so the next Zoom we had, I knew a little more. And, irresistible. Are you kidding me? So I'm so grateful to Jon for even thinking of me, because some people go, she's this, she's that. We have to find someone who hasn't been in this other universe.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that he thought of me.
Now you're saying, and you fell in love with all the characters, but I literally have in my notes that you just about had a complete meltdown when you met Grogu for the first time.
Well, I did have to, get used to being with something so adorable. I was fascinated by him. I don't think you can escape every little gesture and sound, and he's very mischievous. So you have to keep your eye on him. But no, I had to actually kind of go against my character's instincts and keep myself aloof from what could be a little troublemaker, and immediately tries to take advantage of me. And so I couldn't express my true feelings for Grogu, which we all share, right? Until cut.
I love that. Okay, so here's where we see if you put her through the mandatory Star Wars media training, John.
Okay.
Tell us about your character.
I play a great character. She came up. She's a fighter pilot. She's still a pilot. She's going to be in all those, eventually. And she's, she came up in the rebellion, and now she's trying to protect the New Republic. And I believe is completely committed to what she does, has had the good sense to hire Mandalorian and this sidekick. And, this is, I'm going to find out if they're as good as they say.
Nice.
I'm counting on them.
I think she did it. But let's talk. I mean, you're saying the Mandalorian and this psychic, and it's the way that Grogu's reputation has changed and the character of Grogu has changed. You've been doing this for 5 years now, 2019. If you, knowing what you know now about the process, is there anything you would change about the things you did along the way?
No, I think things unfold the way they do, and you don't always know where it's going. But if you have a good group of people who are seeing things eye to eye and who are all committed to the same vision, that vision might shift and change over time. We had no idea we'd be seeing these characters go to the big screen in the way that we did. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to look back and think about those times, because there are people now, even though it seems to me at my age like it was just yesterday, there are kids who are like teenagers now who grew up with those characters since they were little. And I really try to remember what it was like for me, young, seeing Star Wars for the first time when I was small, and then how my mind was blown by Empire. And I was tricked that's Yoda. I was tricked by, spoiler alert, there's a family relationship between Luke and Darth Vader. I don't want to, maybe somebody here hasn't seen that one yet.
Cut the feed.
No, right, cut the and then by the time Jedi came out, I was an usher in the movie theaters. I was in high school, and how my relationship with it changed over time, and then the prequels and then animation, gaming. Mm-hmm. So George Lucas really wanted to capture rites of passage, and he was always very cognizant of the coming-of-age story and the Joseph Campbell mythic hero's journey. And I think that we always have to look back, and what's nice about Star Wars now that's different from then is between all the different streaming shows, the extended universe, gaming, there's different flavors of ice cream for everybody. They all work together. It's great to have somebody like Dave Filoni, who was just up here, who is very aware and thoughtful about how all of those interplay and how it's all Star Wars. And what's great about events like this is you see people of all different ages from all different parts of the world who connect with different aspects of Star Wars, but we're all one big community.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's been wonderful with the with more of the exploration through the TV and the episodic format to watch you and Dave and all of the creative people that you've pulled into these shows get to play around a little bit and get to tell different kinds of stories and try out, does this work in Star Wars? What is this kind of like in Star Wars? One of the things I told you last time is I love that sometimes you can have an episode of Mandalorian that's a buddy cop. Yeah. And sometimes you can have an episode of Mandalorian that's a Seven Samurai story, and it's very, you can play with it and see how it all works. Yes. What kind of story are you hoping to tell for Mandalorian and Grogu?
Well, I think there's a few things we're keeping in mind. First of all, we want a sense of play and adventure, right? Because that's what it is. And you think about, we always sought to not just be inspired by what George did, but what inspired George. And, he connected with Flash Gordon. He connected with, from his childhood. So there's a type of a flavor of sci-fi that has, a sort of adventure that I think he also explored through Raiders.
Yeah.
So there's a swashbuckling, fun romp. So there's adventure, but then there's also all of the complexity that came from the Western and the samurai film.
Yes.
And Kurosawa, Ford, and we, especially the directors that we've brought in to do the shows over the years, we definitely connected them with that. Also, mid-century war films. That there's imagery that George was drawn to that we try to maintain, and an aesthetic of the lived-in world that he created that felt like there was history. And even though it's sci-fi, it doesn't feel like it's set in the future. If anything, it feels like it's set in the archetypes of the past, of classic storytelling. And how do you incorporate all of those things? Like you said in the show, we could go on little tributaries and trajectories.
Yeah.
But with a movie, you want it to be for everybody to enjoy. And how do you draw all of that together and put it in a package and experience that if it's the first time somebody's coming to see Star Wars, they're going to want to be here and be part of this.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm sure everybody here is excited to see what happens with Mandalorian and Grogu. Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans before you all take off?
Well, someone asked me earlier, what is this movie going to be about? And I said, it's about action, it's about adventure, and it's about adorableness. You're going to love it.
Well, we are excited for the action, the adventure, and the adorableness. So thank you so much for coming by, everybody. We've got more Star Wars coming in hot. Do not go away. Jon Favreau, Sigourney Weaver,